Shaytanat, the Uzbek Godfather. Episode 1, The Rise of Zarif. Tashkent, a city that never sleeps, a city that chews men up and spits them out like bad tobacco. They say the streets remember everything, every deal, every lie, every drop of blood that hits the pavement. And if the streets remember, then they sure as hell remember Zarif. He wasn't born a king. He built his throne out of chaos, brick by brick, debt by debt, favor by favor. Back then, in the early 90s, Tashkent was burning under a silent war. Businessmen, cops, gangsters, and politicians all feeding from the same table. The only question was, who'd eat last? Zarif. He was different. He didn't chase money. He hunted respect. And in this city, respect cost more than gold. It started with a deal gone wrong. A simple thing, or that's what it looked like. A warehouse down by the river. Midnight. Cold air heavy with diesel and fear. Zarif stood alone, wearing a suit too clean for the place, smoking like a man who didn't care how long he lived. Across from him, 3 men. One from the police, one from the streets, one from the government. All of them thought they owned him. All of them were wrong. They came for a cut. He came for control. He once said, "You don't need a gun if you own the man who holds it." That line wasn't just clever talk. It was his entire philosophy. He didn't fight people. He turned them, bought their loyalty, sold their souls back to them. That's how power works here. Quiet, invisible, deadly. When the deal went south, one of the men drew first, but no bullets came out, because he had already bought the man who sold him the gun. By sunrise, that warehouse was empty. No witnesses, just whispers. And that's how his name started spreading. Not like smoke, but like infection. People didn't talk about him out loud. They lowered their voices, like the walls were listening. In the cafes, old men talked about politics, but their eyes darted toward the door every time it opened. In the markets, the small-time hustlers paid protection, even if they didn't know who they were paying it to. And somewhere deep in the city, Zarif was building something. A network of loyalty and fear so tight even the government didn't know where it began or ended. He didn't drink, didn't gamble, didn't laugh much either. His vice was control. The way some men crave women, he craved power. Not to show it, but to feel it. The calm that comes when everyone in the room knows you decide who walks out alive. There was a story about him. Maybe true, maybe not. One night, a rich importer tried to double-cross him on a shipment. Zarif didn't yell, didn't threaten. He just invited the man for tea. When the man sat down, he poured 2 cups, smiled, and said, "I don't kill people. I cancel their future." That man left that meeting alive, but within a week, his business vanished. His accounts frozen, trucks impounded, workers gone. By the end of the month, the same man was begging Zarif for a job, and Zarif gave it to him, as a driver. That was the thing about Zarif. He didn't need to raise his voice. His silence was louder than gunfire. But silence doesn't last forever. Power breeds enemies, and enemies breed chaos. Somewhere in Moscow, a man named Karelin was hearing Zarif's name too often. And in Tashkent, the police were starting to find bodies, not many, but enough to make the newspapers nervous. You could feel it in the air. Something big was coming. And Zarif, he was ready. One night, he met his oldest friend, Rustam, at a quiet tea house outside the city. Rustam had that look, like a man who's already betrayed you, but hasn't confessed yet. Zarif just sat there watching the steam rise from his cup. "Rustam, people are talking, Zarif. They say you're trying to own the whole city." Zarif smiles. Talking keeps them busy. Fear keeps them quiet. Rustam leaned closer. You can't win this. Not against the Russians, not against the politicians. Zarif, you're right. Pause. But I don't plan to win. He stood up, left a few bills on the table, and walked out into the night. That was the last time anyone saw Rustam alive. Weeks later, police found a car burned near the canal. Inside, just ashes and a gold lighter engraved with the letter R. Nobody dared to ask questions. In Tashkent, questions can get you buried faster than bullets. By the end of that year, Zarif controlled the import routes, construction deals, and even a few politicians' votes. He wasn't a gangster anymore. He was an institution. But the thing about power is, it doesn't fill you. It empties you, one decision at a time. The more he gained, the less he slept. And when he did sleep, he dreamed of a faceless man walking through his empire, burning everything he'd built. They say every devil was once an angel. Zarif didn't believe that. He believed every devil was just a man who got tired of losing. And by now, he wasn't losing. Not yet. But deep down, he knew. Every empire falls. Every king bleeds. Every silence breaks. Narrator. This was how it began. Not with a war, but with a whisper. The whisper of a man who understood that in this city, you don't take power, you become it. But this was only the beginning. The streets of Tashkent haven't told all their secrets yet, and Zarif's empire, it's about to be tested. Stay tuned, because in episode 2, loyalty will break, blood will freeze, and the real devil will rise. Welcome to Shaytanat, the Uzbek Godfather. Episode 1, The Rise of Zarif.